21 years ago, I walked out of a Norfolk courtroom after the sentencing of Joseph Ludlam for the murder of my husband, Tim O'Shaughnessy. I thought I was done with the man since he had received a 40-year sentence for the murder of my husband. There could be no appeals or hearings as he had pled guilty to first-degree murder and agreed to a life sentence with all but 40 years suspended. He had originally been charged with capital murder, case in point, robbery, grand larceny, and 3 counts of use of a firearm, and would have faced a life sentence without the possibility of parole had he gone to trial and been found guilty. For 20 years, I lived my life as best as I could, trying not to think about being a victim. By the way, I've got 4 sons. My youngest was 9 months old at the time his father was murdered. Unfortunately, this all ended on October 9th, 2023. I was totally blindsided when I received a robocall from Navi notifying me that Joseph Ludlam had a parole hearing scheduled for November 8th, 2023. How is this possible? Virginia abolished parole in the 90s. Since it was a holiday, it was a couple of days before I learned that Ludlam was eligible for something called geriatric parole. Once again, I had never been notified that this even existed. Since October 9th, I have had to relive the events of my husband's brutal murder over and over again. I don't have time to go into all the details there, as I fight to keep his killer in prison. There aren't words to describe. I'm sorry, I'm a citizen and I need to get this across to everyone. Thank you. There aren't words to describe the anguish I have had to experience as I fought against his release under geriatric parole or as I prepared to speak for you today. Fortunately, Ludlam did not receive parole, and I learned in the process that after 23 years, he still shows no sign of remorse for the murder he committed. My family has gone through enough. This bill has been introduced that would potentially let my husband's killer out as he is given some second look. You want to give him a second look? How can you put my family through this again and again and again? I recently learned that the statute relating to geriatric parole indicates the inmate may petition for the parole hearing. However, the Department of Corrections automatically schedules every inmate that becomes eligible for geriatric parole an appointment for a parole hearing.
Thank you.
Can you assure me that the same thing isn't going to happen here? Are we going to inundate the courts by having reviews of every sentence that's been handed down if the inmate has been in jail for 15+ years? Where is the concern for the victims?
Thank you for your testimony.
We did not ask to be.
We must move on.
The inmate chose to commit the violent crime, yet they are the ones afforded every break and opportunity while the victims continue to carry the burden of fighting for peace of mind and safety. I realize now I'll be fighting for the rest of my life for myself and other victims.
Thank you. At this point, obviously, the time has long ago disappeared. If I can just have you represent a group or just say I am an individual.